And good evening, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Hockey Night on Board Flyers pregame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers are going to try to get back on track after a disappointing outing last night up in Newark, New Jersey, as they battle the the New York Islanders as they meet up for the third time in the last few weeks. And a pleasure, good evening, everybody. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you for the next 15 minutes or so. As for the Flyers last night, basically, they're not really got it going in this game, obviously, in this matchup between the Flyers and the Devils. And the good thing about it, too, was that the one thing that was about that game last night, it was more that it could be, I guess the one thing that was really concerning is that the Flyers just, like I said, really just never got it going, obviously. 4 unanswered goals in the second period by the Devils as, they try to get back on track here tonight as well. So let's get into the recap of the previous game that happened last night in Newark, New Jersey between the Flyers and the Devils. Well, like I said, it was a 4-goal scoring spree by the New Jersey Devils early on in the first period. And it started early on in the first where Andre Palat got credit for the first goal of the game just 54 seconds into the second stanza. No scoring in the first period, so we go into the second, and that's where the Devils got the goal to get them on the board first at the 54-second mark of the first period. So just under 1 minute into the second period to give the Devils a 1-0 lead. Later on in the second, it was a turnover that the Flyers should try to get back on the ice, but a turnover cost them, and it was Luke Hughes, the brother of Jack Hughes, giving the Devils a 2-0 lead. Later on in the second, it was the Devils trying to get another response, and then we'll find it with Nate Bastian to make it 3-0. And if you think things couldn't get from bad to worse, they gave up another goal by Dawson Mercer to give the Devils a 4-0 lead, and that basically took the toll about what the Flyers were going to be capable of. And that also benched Ivan Fedotov decided to come into the game that was in that game and replace Sam Ersson, which, by the way, got a lot of positivity towards the beginning of the day, where Sam Ersson was also going to be featured in that World Cup. Not World Cup of Hockey, the Four Nations face-off that will be coming up in the next couple of weeks or so. So, not a good outing by Sam Ersson. And so he got pulled, and the Devils will get one more out of it. And it was the Hughes brother, the second portion of the Hughes brother. It was Luke in the second period, and it was Jack Hughes in the third period to give the Devils an 5-0 lead. And like I said, that's how the scoring came in about for the Flyers that night. The Flyers, there was a lot of good chances in that game for the Flyers, but the difference was that they lost a player at a cost. Owen Tippett left the game due to an upper body injury, did not return to the game. So that's going to be something to keep a close eye on tonight when the Flyers take on the Islanders tonight, as they are also decimated with injuries along the way as we get closer and closer to puck drop. I'll show you the injuries and scratches for this matchup here tonight for the Flyers and the Devils. But let's get into the key matchups of this game between the Flyers and it feels like the Flyers and Islanders have been playing for feels like a playoff series. Kind of feels like, because the last couple of weeks we've seen them going back to the week of Thursday, the January 16th, when the Flyers took on the Islanders for the first time, and then they once again met them again on, I believe it was that Friday before the Friday of last week, where Ivan Fedotov did not have a good performance that night, gave up 3 unanswered goals to the Islanders after the Flyers had a real good physical first period. Kind of similar circumstance that happened here last night as well. Flyers had a very good physical first period, but it was a lot of chippiness towards the game. There was a lot of penalties. There was a lot of melees and also disturbance between. And also the penalty box was filled to, I guess you could say, filled to capacity, if you know what I mean, because the difference was that there was a lot of good chances in this game that the Flyers could have, but the problem was it was a lot of penalties in the process along the way as well. So we have to keep a close eye on that tonight as we get closer and closer to puck drop. But it's going to be, I guess it was one of those games that you would expect, okay, this game would have been something that that the Flyers have to do a better job on and try to do whatever they can to keep control of the game and also let their attention. Basically, what John Tortorella said a long time ago when he was a member of the New York Rangers, and that was to keep your discipline. And they had to keep their discipline that night. They had to keep their discipline after a disappointing outing, and also it was a lot of chippiness. It did not go in the way and go in their favor last night, in the Flyers' favor, but usually the Flyers bounce back games like this and get a better outcome. So I think it'll be a good thing here tonight to get back on track to see what they look like in this game here tonight. And this will be the last time you'll see a team from the Metropolitan Division going back. The next time those two clubs will play off in a Metropolitan Division rivalry, it will be right after the Four Nations. Actually, I don't know if it's before or after the Four Nations face-off, excuse me. I know Pittsburgh's coming into town very, very soon, so that will be like either the week before the Four Nations face-off or it will be right after the Four Nations face-off. And right after that, this will be the last couple games before the Flyers get ready for a little bit of a road trip. They go, and then after tonight in South Philly, they ship off to Denver, Colorado for a meeting on Sunday against the Avalanche. And then they go up to Utah for the first time in the franchise as they take on the Utah Hockey Club for the first time in Utah as a franchise. And the last time Utah played against when Utah played the Flyers, it was not a good outing by them, but this is a time that the Flyers could get some revenge against teams that, and even the Avalanche too, when they found out they got rid of some of their key players like Mikko Rantanen in the trade, along with Marty Natchez of the Hurricanes, and it was a 3-team trade. And I'll keep an eye on that when we get closer and closer to that game against the Avalanche on Sunday. So it's a rare Sunday edition of actually not a matinee game, but a Sunday afternoon version of the Flyers and Avalanche up in Denver, Colorado. So that's a 3:00 puck drop that night in Denver, Colorado. Okay, let's get into our who's trending up and who's trending down on this night. Well, there's not a lot to be trending up on this direction here tonight after a disappointing outing last night up in Newark, New Jersey. I'd expected that it was probably going to be a better outing for the Flyers, but it wasn't the case after a great outing on Monday night against the Devils. The first of a home-to-home, they actually looked very well in that game on Monday night, but it felt like, I guess, the Devils were just one team that just were not going to be denied. So for who was trending up on that night, I would say maybe there was a couple opportunities for the Flyers to get on the board. There was a couple opportunities that they could try to beat Jake Allen, but Jake Allen's been around for this league for a very, very long time. And even I did the postgame show with my buddy of mine, Joey Marks from the Past and that sports show last night, said basically Jake Allen's been around a long time and also got some coaching from the great Marty Brodeur in the process. So I guess that's going to be a big thing to take out of it here tonight. But the Flyers, like I mentioned, have won a game against the Islanders. They lost the game against the Islanders. And now I think tonight here in South Philadelphia, this will be the first meeting between the Flyers and Islanders here at Wells Dargo Center. So it will be probably a little bit of bittersweetness to see what Ivan Fedotov can get back on track after a disappointing outing he had last Friday night up in Belmont, New York, as they try to get back on track here tonight. But for who's trending down, well, the injury bug is continuing to come back and really hurt the Flyers in immensely ways. As tonight, the Flyers are going to try to get back on track. There's a good possibility that they could try to get some 2 points out of it with either the injuries of either like Ryan Poehling or even like now Owen Tippett's going to miss his first game after suffering an injury last night and now lost against the Devils. So I don't know what he's going to be. His status is for tonight's game, but I can imagine he would not be playing in this game tonight because he'll be playing his second game of a back-to-back. So keep a close eye on. I'll be keeping a close eye on that, along with the NHL. Along with the Flyers, say what his status is for Sunday's game against the Avalanche. Speaking of injuries and scratches, let's get into it for the injuries and scratches for this game here tonight for this upcoming matchup, as the Flyers, like I said, are still trying to find out what their footing is, trying to find out who was the injury and scratches for this game. Okay, here we go. So basically the same kind of commonality that they had all for the last couple of weeks now. Nick Delorier and Ryan Paling still out with the upper body injury, and also now they are on injured reserve, so I expect them not be in this game here tonight. Yegor Zamora is still suffering an upper body injury. He is day to day. And the same thing goes for Owen Tippett, who suffered the injury, like I mentioned last night, so I can imagine he will not be in this game tonight. And the only scratch in this game here tonight due to an illness is Alan Lexell. He will not be in this lineup tonight as the Flyers and Islanders meet up here tonight in South Philly. So like I mentioned, it's Delorier, Paling, Samoa, and Owen Tippett are the injuries for this game here tonight, and only one scratch or maybe two, depending on if Rodrigo Abduls will not be in this game here tonight as well. So Alan Lexell is out tonight due to a healthy scratch. He's out under the weather, and that's the only scratch in this game here tonight as the Flyers and Islanders meet up for the third time in the last 2 weeks. All right, let's get into our starting goaltender matchup for this game here tonight between the Flyers and the Islanders. In goal tonight for the Flyers, there'll be Ivan Fedotov back in goal tonight after a disappointing outing. I wouldn't say last night, but a disappointing outing the last time the Flyers and Islanders met up against each other. Last Friday night, he gave up 3 unanswered goals after the Flyers had a very good period by the Flyers last week up in Belmont, but 3 unanswered goals, so I'm expecting him to try to bounce back in this game here tonight against the Islanders. And in goal, I would expect will be in goal tonight for this game between the Flyers and the Islanders. For the Islanders side, it will be Ilya Sorokin, who also is been playing better as of lately since the last time these two clubs met against each other last week, and has a winning record of 7. Actually, no, I forgot to show the record of Ivan Fedotov. Excuse me. So his record this season for Fedotov is 4-6-3 this season, and has a goals against average of 3.22. And like I mentioned, for the Islanders, it will be Ilya Sorokin in this game tonight, and who has basically, like I said, a winning record this year after the last time these two clubs met against each other, and has a 14-4 record, and has a goals against average of only 2.81. So Fedotov for the Flyers and Sorokin for the Islanders. And for my predictions in this game here tonight, I expect the Flyers to have a better outing than they did last night. But I don't know what the circumstances is about what Owen Tippett's injury is going to be a cause for concern of what they're going to try to do in this game. But I would expect they will be playing, hopefully, with a better observation to try to do whatever they can to get back on track here tonight. And especially more so than anything like that, try to get back on track after a disappointing outing last night up in Newark. So usually after a bad game that they have, they are back on track. They'll probably try to get back on track here tonight. So hopefully the Flyers will win. This will be a good matchup that the Flyers could have that will be easier said than done. But the one thing I look at for it too is that hopefully if the Flyers do get a good chance to win this game here tonight, it will be a little bit of a positive to look out of it, especially playing against Metropolitan Division teams for the first time. I mean, it's like nonstop going back to the last couple weeks or so. So getting a win against another Metropolitan Division foe will be even more bittersweet going into that next couple meetings between the Avalanche and Utah not coming into Philadelphia, but on a road trip, and also closing out I think they got 2 more. I guess they got Washington coming in on next Thursday night, where Alex Ovechkin's still trying to chase Gretzky's record. And also they got a matchup with somebody on that matinee game. And then after that, they'll be done for the portion before the Four Nations face-off, and they'll have a couple weeks off to recharge and also get ready for what could be another, maybe hopefully a positive second half of the season, as it was last season here in South Philadelphia, and also what they're going to look like on the road as well. All right, that's going to wrap up our pregame coverage here. That's going to wrap up for the Hockey Note on Board Flyers pregame show. But remember to stay tuned after the game for the Third Line John Flyers postgame show immediately after the game. Pat Bernard's got you covered tonight. I will be sure I'll be back very, very soon for that postgame show. I think I will be doing a postgame hopefully on Sunday, depending on who's doing it. But I will be back again for the pregame show at 2:30. That will be a 2:30 Hockey Day version of the Hockey Note on Board Flyers pregame show as the Flyers take on the Avalanche up in Denver. Pregame show starts at 2:30 and 3 o'clock. The puck drop between the Flyers and Avs. Until then, this has been the Hockey Not On Board Flyers pregame show, and I'm your host, James Scorza, saying thanks for watching, everybody. Until then, we will see you back here on Sunday, rather. So I guess it's not going to be on. It's going to be a Sunday edition of Hockey Not On Board, and also Third Line John postgame show immediately after that game. But until then, enjoy the game here tonight, guys. And I'm your host, James Scorza, saying thanks for watching. Until then, we will see you next time, and stay safe out there and also stay well. Until then, we'll see you on the other side.